Right. There's a YouTube. There's a YouTube. Mute it and run it live.
Also, if anyone wants to, I think there might be an Indians game actually today, but if anyone wants to play basketball today after the show, it's a good basketball weather day.
I would love to, but my timetable is quite tight tonight. So
yeah.
Oh, did Dallas just get kicked out? Dallas, did you get kicked out? All right. Dallas' computer shut off. Good vibes. Good vibes.
Fantastic start.
Couldn't ask for anything better.
I guess we might wait a minute for him because he low-key is like the only way that I'll be able to get through the NBA segment. Because I don't watch the NBA, guys. It's
playoffs. You just got to pick a winner.
I know, and I'm low-key riding with the team right now, and it might sound a little crazy, but I'm gonna have y'all hear me out.
Okay, I'm curious.
All right, you guys ready to go?
Yep.
All right. Welcome back. It is SMC Show number 25. We're closing in on 30. We have a lot to talk about today, but I am joined with, as always, Dallas Turner, Rishi Chandran, and it's good to see Adam Lauder back. We've missed him. He's been in his Colts hole of misery, and Lamar Jackson, and everything great that we can talk about today. But we got a lot to talk about. We do have the NBA playoffs semi-pseudo starting. We do have a playing game tonight for two teams to make it in. And then we are going to go through, I call it Give Me Your Opinion NFL edition. I ask, you answer / I will answer as well. I got a couple big questions right now that have been kind of floating around in the world. And then we are going to go over the MLB I don't think they're 14 games in. I want to say they're like 13 games in. So we're going to give favorite teams in the AL and the NL so far. And then if there's anything else we kind of feel like we need to talk about or go longer on, of course we can do that. And we have last week's hot takes, and then we'll do this week's hot takes. So let's get started with the NBA playoffs have officially started. My whole goal of this was to pick who wins the series and by how many games. And we were all going to agree on it. But I guess we can still kind of do this. I mean, we all kind of know. I think we all have a feeling of who's going to win these playing games tonight. So let's not start with the 1 seeds. Let's bounce back to the 1 seeds at the end. But let's start with the 2 seed in the West. We have the Grizzlies facing the Lakers. The Shannon Sharp return. The saga is back for one more time. LeBron is going to beat Dylan Brooks up in the middle of the floor, maybe. I don't know. But who wins this series and by how many games? And also, we're trying to agree here. So we're going to have to give some feedback to make sure that everyone is on the same page and feeling, confident.
To me, this is potentially the hardest matchup to predict. So I don't know. Does anyone have a strong opinion on this series?
Well, my opinion on John Morant is that he's not been the same since he's returned. So that is kind of concerning, I would say. But I'm currently pulling up NBA advanced stats currently, so just give me a second.
And does anyone know Steven Adams' status for this series?
Steven Adams is done for the season.
So he's no chance of coming back.
Very little. Very, very little.
That certainly makes it interesting with the amount of front court depth the Lakers have.
Kenny Lofton, don't disrespect him.
No, Kenny Lofton was high on my draft board last year. But earlier in the year, I think I had the Grizzlies as my favorite to come out of the West. Things have kind of shaken up since then. They've gotten back up to the 2 seed. But man, it's tough to pick against the Lakers. I guess I'll go Grizzlies in 7.
Just to put this out there, the Lakers' efficiency in the game they played, or efficient field goal percentage, was the lowest of all teams in playing games, at 46.7%. So I know it's hard to pick against LeBron, but I just don't think this team matches up very well. I think, honestly, I could tell you that I have one player in mind that I think is just a complete series changer here. And I don't know if he's actually playing or not, but Luke Kennard could just absolutely shoot the doors off the Lakers like game 2 and 3 randomly. I'm just saying, Dylan Brooks doesn't play good. You might throw him in the game. I'm agreeing with Rishi, though. I would say the Grizz win in either 6 or 7.
If Luke Kennard is guarding Austin Reeves, he's getting a 30-point triple-double. So,
dude, Austin Reeves is nasty, though. Like, that's like the ultimate, like, no offense to anybody here about what I'm about to say. That is the ultimate, like, white boy matchup in the NBA. Like, that is like pure 1960s basketball just going head to head. But Dallas, Austin, Grizzlies, no Grizzlies. I mean, are we feeling the Grizzlies or not?
So when you look at the Lakers, you see LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and you think that, it's, and in the past, they've been a very top heavy team, but actually their bench is 4th in the league when it comes to bench scoring. Like, they do have some firepower coming off the bench that a lot of people, don't look at. The Grizzlies aren't bad, but the Lakers are much better when it comes to depth, actually. And the Memphis Grizzlies are a little bit weird. Normally, when you see 2 and 7, it's pretty easy. You can almost go with the 2, but this is a very awkward matchup because you have LeBron James and Anthony Davis as the 7th seed. And you're playing against that when your team is a little bit – the Grizzlies just have a lot of drama. The Grizzlies have a lot of drama and a lot of distractions.
Okay, so do
we
the
all
Lakers.
know. The Lakers, obviously, too. It's the most distracted playoff matchup I've seen in a long time. But it's a coin flip. I normally wouldn't say that about 2 and 7, but I think it's going to go 6 or 7 games. I'm going to go with the Grizzlies because I think they just – like, I'm a really big fan of Jaren Jackson Jr. I'm a huge fan of Jaren Jackson Jr. And, John Morant, if he can get it back into form and, get his head straight and get ready for these playoffs, I think, again, Luke Kennard could come out and start banging some shots. One of these games would be a difference maker. So I think the Grizzlies just might have a little bit more firepower, but the Lakers do have the experience. But I'll give this to the Grizzlies.
I agree. I have the Grizzlies in 7. My thing is, who's going to guard Ja on the Lakers team? Who was going to take him?
D'Lo, let's go D'Lo.
It's not going to be D'Lo. I'll tell you that right now. It's
They're
not
going to
be
Austin
D'Lo.
Reeves on him probably.
No, I think Vanderbilt will probably end up getting the matchup on Ja. I know it's a bigger guy and he's a little bit slower than Ja, but that's probably the guy they put on him just to try to slow him down because they don't have any guards that can guard Ja Morant. But I think the key to this series and a guy who's going to be really good for the Grizzlies is Desmond Bane. Since coming back from the calf injury, he's been okay, but lately he's been very good for the Grizzlies, been playing very well basketball. So I think he averages close to 25 in this series and is a Grizzlies key player to push them through in 7. And then for the Lakers side of things, you got to say it, is Anthony Davis going to be available for this whole series? All it takes is one thing for AD to go down, If AD goes down, the series is over. I don't think he will.
Pinky toe.
I think he'll be all right. But Jaren provides a tough matchup for AD. AD is going to have to work very hard for what he gets in this series. For the Lakers to win, LeBron's going to have a career series, like one of his crazy performance series for them to win. He's going to have to average like a 35-point triple-double for them to win the series. And I don't put it past them to do that, but I think the Grizzlies have a little bit too much scoring for the Lakers. I know the Lakers have been good on defense, but I think too many options for the Grizzlies to score the basketball here in this series.
And backing off that point about who's going to guard Ja Morant, I would actually probably say I don't know if he's good, but I'm pretty sure he's still playing. He'd probably be Dennis Schroeder. I would probably assume it'd be Dennis Schroeder. I think he played against the Timberwolves in the playing game and scored 21 points.
He hit the game winner.
He hit the game winner. Like, I think Dennis Schroeder is probably the best defensive guard they have on the most experienced, definitely, for playoff games. I think that's probably what they're gonna do. I don't know how they're gonna make him and D'Lo together. Maybe D'Lo goes on the bench, but I don't know. But I think Dennis Schroeder, they have to put Dennis Schroeder on him. Otherwise, I don't think there's anyone else. Again, if they put like Austin Reeves or D'Lo on him, he'll score 40 points a game in this series. So I don't know what they're going to do about it. And AD is always going to be injured forever. So you never know.
All righty. Well, sticking to that California love kind of thing, we got the Kings versus the Warriors. The matchups of the California, Sacramento versus the Golden Bay. The Kings are sitting at the 3 spot, but the Warriors are the 6 spot. Where are we in this game?
I have no idea who's going to win this series. I really don't. The Warriors haven't been fully healthy in a while, and they do have Wiggins back for the series. So
I'm saying we're lighting the beam. We're lighting the beam, boys.
I don't know if I can pick against the Warriors in a first-round matchup. They only have to travel a little bit of distance here. Draymond was talking about that on his podcast, who he wanted to play in the playoffs. He says Sacramento. So let's see if he can back up that talk. But yeah, I think the Warriors have too much experience right now to go out in the first round. This series could go 7 games easily. I don't know. I'll see who you guys pick, but I'm leaning towards the Warriors right now. I think the Kings need this season, and then we'll be better next year for playoff experience if they can keep the same roster together.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to have Andrew Wiggins back. It's like another thing to have him back in basketball shape. And it's like, even if he's in basketball shape, it's like, it's not like he's gotten a ton of reps with everyone recently. They've been playing without him in their rotation. So you never really know what level that the Warriors are going to come back at. But I'm pretty sure that starting 5 for the Warriors with Andrew Wiggins is like the number 1 lineup in the league this year. So, you know, it's tough to pick against that, obviously, if he comes back and everything is clicking how it was in the beginning of the season. But there are definitely more unknowns with the Warriors at this point because of that. I think getting him back is a huge plus. And this definitely feels like a series where, yeah, like Dallas said, the Kings, you know, this is one of their first good seasons in a while, and it's kind of a learning experience, and they build on it next year. But yeah, I don't know. My heart definitely wants to say the Kings, but the smart pick may be the Warriors.
I mean, I can't believe I'm about to read this stat out right now, but I'm pretty sure we've all heard it from following the NBA. The last time the Warriors lost a playoff series was 9 years ago. The last time they lost a playoff series was in 2014. That was the last time they lost a playoff series.
Is that first round playoff series?
That playoff series they lost, was to the Los Angeles Clippers in the first round to the 2013-2014 season. They have not lost a playoff round.
I think it has
since
to
then,
be
except for
first
the
round. They have
finals.
Yeah.
lost a playoff round since then.
Okay, that's what I was like. So it has to
No,
be
they've lost games, but they haven't lost one in the West. They've lost
They
the
have,
finals
they have,
In the
they
West,
have lost a series in the West.
or no, they
since
missed
2014.
the playoffs.
No,
They missed the playoffs.
but they missed the
Phoenix year.
playoffs, but they haven't
The
lost
Phoenix.
a series.
Yeah, the Phoenix year they
Since-
weren't in the playoffs, so that's probably
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
So
in
they
the
haven't
West.
lost a series since 2014.
in the
They've
West,
missed the
yeah.
playoffs. They've missed the playoffs, but that was the last time they lost a playoff series in the West.
That's ridiculous.
That is a actual stat. It's been 9 years since we've seen the Warriors lose the playoff series in the Western Conference.
Oh God, no, no.
They are monsters in this competition, and that team from 2014, those key pieces are still there. They're still firing Curry, Clay, and Draymond. They're still there. That's all you need to get to the finals. I mean, I think they're going to win this in 6. I think I got the Warriors in 6 in this one. It's just like one of the best put together teams in NBA history I've ever seen. Like those 3 pieces, you can put them with you can put them with a Kevin Durant, you can put them with an Andrew Wiggins. Doesn't matter. They're going to find their way to the NBA finals. If none of them are hurt, they're going to find their way to the NBA finals somehow. That's just what they've been doing. They've been doing it for years. Yeah, I really want to pick the Kings. I'm so happy for the Kings fans. I think it's been 16 years since they made the playoffs, something like that. Something ridiculous. So I'm finally happy that they finally don't have to suffer anymore. And they get some playoff basketball for once. But I think it's going to be very short-lived.
I'm actually fine saying the Kings because I forgot how big of a home court advantage they have. They have a serious home court advantage.
Light the beam, baby. They're trying to light that thing. They're gonna see that in San Francisco.
And I know how badly Alex wants to light the beam.
I am on Light the Beam Twitter just every day. We're lighting this beam.
Dallas, you got to make the call.
If you guys are going Kings, I'll go Kings. But like,
now I was gonna say Kings in 5, and that was
no,
crazy.
not a chance.
No way. No way.
I'm just saying.
I
I'm just
should be
saying.
backing him now.
But I'll go Kings in 7 to make a more ratio pick.
I'm fine with it since it's the more fun pick.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right,
I wish I could.
a series that I could literally give who less of craps about. Sorry to all Suns and Clippers fans, we just don't care about your team here. The Suns versus the Clippers, the 4 versus the 5. The battle of mid, I would say. You have Kawhi facing Kevin Durant. Got Russell Westbrook. Like, I mean, this is like the most mid battle of teams. Like, these teams have not been good all year. They like made it in the playoffs somehow, and like we're all like, wow, this is gonna be fantastic. We're gonna see Kawhi play KD and Devin Booker and CP 0 rings. Like, it's fantastic. Like, it's such a great series. Like, no, some team is gonna blow the other team out. There's no way around that. I just have this feeling, and I think I will be right.
Even if one team blows another team out, I think this is still one of the more entertaining series of the playoffs. And maybe the series with like the most elite players. I'm like looking at right now. You could probably make that argument. But I don't know. I'm taking Suns in 4. To me, the only reason to pick the Clippers is like banking on a Suns injury or something. But yeah, the Suns are the favorite to come out of the West for a reason.
Yeah, I'm going to make this one. I'm going to make this one very short and sweet. I'm taking Phoenix in 5. Phoenix, I think they have a very good team just in general. And the Clippers are they're the joke of the NBA when it comes to the playoffs. They will always find a way to F it up every time. It's been like that forever. They always find a way, and it won't be any different. Sorry, Clippers fans, if there are any.
Two things for me. Clippers without Paul George for who knows how long in this series. That's the key. There's number one. Number two, the Suns haven't lost with Kevin Durant in their lineup yet. So give me the Phoenix Suns in either 4 or 5 here. I think the Clippers can steal one out just with their defense and Kawhi having a good game, but Phoenix has too much firepower. They got 4 options in the starting lineup that can get you 20 at least. I mean, CP3, the last few games with Durant in the lineup, has taken more threes than he has pretty much his whole freaking career. I mean, he made 5-6 threes the other night. That's something Chris Paul has never done in his career. He's taken a lot more threes with Durant and Booker driving and kicking. So give me the Phoenix Suns here.
Like I said, I think the Clippers are extremely mid and extremely inflated based on the fact that they have Kawhi, Russell Westbrook, Paul George. They're just okay. And I think the Suns will probably blow the doors off them. But now to the matchup that I have been waiting to give possibly a hot take leading into this. The Nuggets play the winner of the Thunder versus the Timberwolves. I feel like there's obviously one team that they will be playing in the Nuggets, and it's got to be the Thunder. If anyone else is saying that the Timberwolves are going to beat the Thunder tonight, I think you're a little crazy. But personally, this is my upset here, and I don't know. I've been on Thunder TikTok for the past 4 days, and it's just ridiculous. So I'm gonna say the Thunder win in 7.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to take the Thunder. I have no idea who's going to guard Nikola Jokic. I mean, even Jamal Murray is going to be hard to contain. But I just
Chet,
love
baby.
the Thunder.
Just throw Chet in.
Yeah, Chet'll start
is
the
not
season
playing.
now. But I want to pick the Thunder. They're not going to win, but for this show, I'll pick the Thunder. Who cares?
Dude, Lou Dort will guard Jamal Murray.
I think we're about to get ratioed, Alex.
This the Thunder are most likely going to make it to this game. I really hope the Timberwolves do, though. It would be hilarious watching them implode. Watching them get beat by 44 straight times and having more players fight each other would be hilarious. It'd be so funny, but I know the Thunder are probably going to make this. I mean, if I'm giving my real pick, Nuggets and 5. I really like the Nuggets this year. I think this is their year to go to the finals. I think this is a year to make it. But I think the Thunder might actually surprise me. I wouldn't be surprised if the Thunder took this series very, very far.
I'm shocked that everybody just thinks the Thunder are going to easily win. I mean, it's crazy. If we put up the Lakers and the Thunder, who would you guys pick? The Lakers, right?
No,
I would take the Thunder.
I'm taking the Thunder.
Lakers are trash.
In one game, you'd take the Thunder to beat the Lakers in one game.
Yes, easy. That is very easy.
I'd imagine they had a winning record against the Lakers this year.
They did.
The Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards, I believe 2 or 3 out of 15 against the Lakers, and they barely lose that game. Anthony Edwards goes for 30 points. Cat goes for 30 tonight. Timberwolves win this game against the Thunder. Don't get me wrong, I love the Thunder, but I think the Timberwolves win tonight, just so they have a little bit of hope, maybe. But no, the Nuggets are going to win this first round series in 4 or 5 games, no matter who they play.
All right. Well, no one was vibing with my Thunder's take, so whatever. Nuggets in 4 or 5. I don't really care. You guys are no fun. Like, and I honestly am making all of my NBA predictions off like what teams pop up on my TikTok For You page, and they're like fans are making like crazy edits, and they're making these like slideshows of pictures, and it's like Josh Giddey and Shea have been averaging 30 since the All-Star break, and I'm like, hey, I mean, let's do it. But down to the East, the Celtics versus the Hawks. I mean, should we all just say on one that the Celtics are gonna wipe the floor with the Hawks, or does someone have a Trae Young New York moment come in here in Boston?
I think Onyeka Okongwu will be tough in the paint defensively, but I don't think that'll be enough to overcome the gap that I think the Celtics defense is going to be better than the Hawks offense, and that's going to be the end of it.
Season 4, I'll pick a sweep here. I can see the Hawks getting a game at home, but
I mean, Jaylen Brown's potentially, I don't know what his situation is, but
I mean, they're facing the best defense, and the Hawks are facing the best defense in the league. They have absolutely no chance. Sorry, 4.
Good vibes, gentlemen. Good vibes. All righty. On to the 76ers versus the Nets. The battle of James Harden returning to the place that he folded on first before Kyrie and KD. I don't even know. I mean, I feel like we're stupid to not pick the 76ers in like 4 or 5. No offense to the Nets, you're great and you guys have done a lot of good things. But you're literally like turning into the OKC Thunder now, where you've just built up enough picks to like survive the next 5 years. So I go 76ers in 4 or 5.
yeah, I think in a situation where both of these teams have had a week to prepare, it's going to come down to like who's got the players that are going to make a play and who's going to hit the tough shots. And I think you could make the argument that the 76ers have the 2 best players in the series. I mean, even though James Harden's production isn't what it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, you could make the argument that those 2 are still the 2 best players.
Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, and James Harden?
I think the conversation between Mikal Bridges, James Harden, and Tyrese Maxey is interesting. I don't know what everyone would rank them 1 through 3, but you could definitely make the argument that the Sixers have the best 2 or 3 best players in the series. And yeah, so I don't know. I'd say 5 or 6 games for the Sixers.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't. The Nets just don't have enough. They don't have enough guys to go get their own. I mean, if you're really breaking it down to in a clutch time situation, and you're telling Mikal Bridges to go get his own, I don't know how many times it's going to work out. I mean,
but he's played 83 games though this season.
Yeah, he's a warrior. He's going to play all the games, but obviously he can make some shots, but I don't know how well he can create on his own. That's what I think.
He can create his own shot, but it's not going to be probably enough to get past the 3rd best team in the East.
Yeah, they do not have the depth for this. They just don't. They don't have the personnel to win this series. Like I like Mikal Bridges. He's my most improved player of the year. But I don't even know how they made the playoffs, to be honest with you. I've watched 3 Brooklyn Nets games. All were against the Pacers, where we beat them, I think, all 3 times.
No, they beat us all 3 times.
Oh wait, they beat us?
Yeah, like bad. Like
I thought we won. I thought we played them 4. We thought we got like 1 over them.
Yeah, we got 1. Like Chris Duarte went for 30 in Brooklyn, and like we won 1 game, and the rest we got beat by.
Oh, we won 2 of them.
I don't remember. I just remember the game where basically their whole bench played and they out-rebounded us by like 35 rebounds.
Yeah, we lost by 3 in that game.
Yeah.
136 to 133. That was bad.
Yeah, but they literally played their whole bench. Like their entire bench played. They did not play a starter.
And we played our full starting team. We lost.
Yeah, exactly my point.
The Pacers. Love supporting them.
So we all agreeing 76ers in 5 or 6?
I think it's a sweep. I'll go 4.
I don't know. I feel like the Nets could get a random game in Brooklyn, so I'm going to go 5 or 6. On to probably, I think, one of the more interesting matchups, just because these teams, like, one of them was supposed to be here and the other one was not supposed to be here, or I didn't really think would be here by the end of the season. The Knicks versus the Cavs. I'm kind of torn here. The Knicks are kind of on a tear at the end of the season, and they're kind of playing pretty solid. But I think it's the Cavs to lose. I go Cavs in 6 or 7. I don't know. I think Jalen Brunson has a weird 45-point game at some point.
Bing bong. Let's go with the Knicks. Come on, man. I don't know. I think it's interesting. Like the Cavs, I think all the signs point towards the Cavs in terms of Evan Mobley, best defender in the series, Donovan Mitchell, probably the best scorer in the series. Cleveland's pretty deep. I don't know. I still want to take the Knicks though. I think something about Jalen Brunson in the playoffs last year, I see that when I see this series, and Darius Garland isn't going to play that great of lockdown defense or anything. Donovan Mitchell isn't going to lock down that much. So I think the Knicks definitely have a chance.
If you told me to pick one series to sit down and watch all the games, this is probably the series in the first round I pick, just because I think these games are all going to be close. I don't see no blowout on the horizon. I mean, you could get one here and there just because of luck, but these teams are pretty close and evenly matched here. The Knicks, I think this comes down to, I think you know what you're going to get from Brunson in the playoffs. You've seen it last year with Dallas. The key is can Julius Randle play in the playoffs? We've seen him struggle in the postseason. I think he can get by that and actually play well. I mean, I know Mobley's probably going to be guarding him. That's a tough matchup to try to perform and get 20 plus. But guys like Quickly, RJ Barrett, those guys have to be able to shoot. Quentin Grimes, they got to be able to shoot well against the Cavaliers' length. If they can, this is going to be a really good series. But I think Cleveland just has a little bit too much. I think this series goes 7. This is right down to the wire here.
Yeah, this is gonna be a really good series. Both teams are really good at stopping the fast break. Both, I think, from what I remember, let me see. Yeah, New York is 4th when it comes to opponent points off of turnovers, and Cleveland is 6th. So I think this is going to be a really, really slow end-to-end game, and it's really going to come down to who your scorers are. And I trust Donovan Mitchell to make those big shots more than anybody else in that entire on the court on either roster. I do like the Cavaliers entire roster when it comes to their whole rotation. I like that a lot more. The Cavaliers are a very, very good defensive team. I think that people don't think about that enough. They are very good defensively, very good. So I just don't know where the Knicks are going to find their winners here. They're going to put up a fight. They're going to look good in some games, especially at home. I think they'll be a really hard team to beat at home. So I'm gonna say 6 to the Cavs here.
I want to put one more piece of input in. I think the game is going to slow down in the playoffs, and the Knicks can score. So that's not really a concern for me. And MSG is a whole lot more intimidating to play in than whatever. What is it? Rocket Mortgage Center or something like that. Yeah, the fact that none of us know is no one's scared of going in and playing there. But I don't know. I'm holding true to my Knicks pick.
All right. Well, I'm pretty sure we have all agreed that it's the Cavs in 6 or 7. Sorry, Rishi. We even need to talk about who the Bucks play. You can see my quote on the Google Doc that will not be said out loud. But you're playing Giannis. Neither of these teams really have someone who can match up with Giannis for all the game. Great. Jimmy Butler's kid came to one game and they won in Toronto, and now they play the Heat. I'm just the Bucks at 4. I mean, they're honestly the best. We all just want to see them play the Celtics at this point. Like, is everyone in the same boat where it's just we just want to see them versus the Celtics in the finals?
Yeah.
So Bucks and 4, clean sweep. No questions asked.
Yeah, that was my first thought when I was watching that Heat Hawks game. That was my first thought was, well, looks like the Bucks are going to be getting a sweep this first round.
Well, like the Bulls are like great, whatever. Like when I said the Clippers were mid, the Bulls are even more mid. Like Nikola Vucevic is gonna. I mean, like no, like DeMar DeRozan's not gonna go get his own on Giannis. I'm just gonna be out here taking an hour at the free throw line. Just if you're telling me Jimmy Butler and DeMar DeRozan need to beat Giannis 1-on-1, you can put them on the same team and they're still not beating Giannis, I think. So I'm just saying.
That would be an awesome team. Jimmy Butler and DeMar DeRozan on the same offense. That'd be just an elite beer league team right there.
It would be. I think that's like an NBA GM's worst nightmare. So we'll see how these playoffs go next week. We'll keep it updated as the weeks go on. We'll definitely tell you if our picks sucked. But on to the NFL. The NFL currently is like blowing my phone up though, which is fantastic. Just love when people are saying that the Texans are officially possibly out on out if Bryce Young goes at 1, and Will Anderson is pick at 2. I don't really know anymore. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors currently. But the Cardinals said something the last week that got me thinking. They said 6 teams have inquired for pick number 3. What team should be trading up for that pick number 3? That wholly coveted quarterback that could be sitting there, whether it's Anthony Richardson, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Will Levis, Stetson Bennett. Who knows? But who is moving up to 3 to go get their guy? Go get that guy they've been looking for. The guy that solves all their problems, or maybe makes them look like a 7-8 team for next season. Who should be trading up for pick number 3? You just have to know they're giving up a first rounder, possibly even 2 to the Cardinals. But who should trade up? Somebody else other than me, because I've listened to way too many NFL podcasts in the past 6 weeks. So I have about 50 teams I could put in this category.
I mean, I can give kind of an off-the-wall team that probably no one else was going to say. I'll go with the Packers. I mean, they might – I don't even know if Houston would want this package, but they might end up having the 13th and 15th overall picks.
Wait, we're talking about the Cardinals, buddy.
I'm talking about did I say the Texans might not want this package?
Yeah.
Or whatever. I don't know if the Cardinals want this package or not. But what was I going to say? They might have the 13th and 15th overall picks in the draft. I don't think that's actually a bad idea if you're the Cardinals, because there's a reason you're picking at number 3 this year. They were pretty hard to watch this year. And yeah, I don't know. I think there's definitely a conversation to be had about what's more valuable, picking number 3 overall in this draft if you're not taking a quarterback, or picking at 13 and 15. That, of course, is only if the Packers get that Aaron Rodgers trade all the way through. But I don't know. I figured that's an off-the-wall team that no one was probably going to say anyways. And that way, Packers can get their quarterback of the future potentially if they're not sold on, what's his name?
Jordan Love. They won't do that. You should know that they won't do that, Rishi. You're an NFC North guy. No one trades up in that division. You trade down in that division.
I'm perfectly fine with the Lions beating up on the Packers for the next 10 years. So don't have to sell me.
Dallas or Adam, I'm literally 50-50 between I'm 33% on 3 teams right now that I'm about to say. So
If I was going to well, if the Cardinals do want to trade the pick, I think that there's got to be one team that has to go 3 and pick a QB here. It's got to be the Patriots. The Patriots have got to go and trade up to get one of these QBs in this draft. I think if there's a team to trade, New England's got to be the first people there. I think they should want to get this deal done ASAP. They are going to have a division that is going to be insanely difficult. There's going to be literally zero pressure for them to do anything this year. I think it would be a good environment with a brand new QB with Bill Belichick. I just think New England has to do it because they will have the worst QB in this division by far next season. And sure, maybe Aaron Rodgers stays 1 year and then the Jets suck in 2 years. Right? Aaron Rodgers stays 1 year, Jets have a playoff run. He retires. Jets can't get any QBs. Sign Carson Wentz, and then that was the end of the Jets story. And then maybe New England might get back up. But I think that's the perfect reason to go and trade up to 3 and get your QB if it comes there. For some reason I feel like Bill Belichick would 100% take Will Levis without a doubt if he had his chance for the QBs. But I trust that insight there. I think they've got to be the team to trade for that.
You don't think? I feel like the Patriots must feel like next free agency or something, they're an attractive enough destination with Belichick to be able to get like an established veteran or something.
I think they're not going to do anything because I think they brought in Bill O'Brien to quell Mac Jones's problems. But that's exactly what I think, and I think that I just think they're a very passive draft strategy team. Bill Belichick is not trading picks, but I mean, we've gone 2 off the board picks here off the start, which is fantastic because but I'm going to give it up to Dallas because I feel like I need to roll this one in.
I have 2 teams in mind here. I'm going to make it a little bit more realistic because the Minnesota Vikings pick at 23 or whatever. But let me get the Tennessee Titans here to trade up to the 3rd pick with the Arizona Cardinals. I think that's one of the only other teams that makes sense to do it, to go up and draft a quarterback here. They don't even have to draft a quarterback. They just need to go up. You could say the division is Jacksonville's to lose, but Tennessee always proves that they have enough guys that they can play. I know they got on a losing streak last year, but they have enough guys to compete for the division. They'll still be competing with Jacksonville. But yeah, Tennessee is the team here that I think probably makes a little sense to trade up for 3.
Tennessee is just trying to salvage like their GM not getting fired and like Mike Vrabel not getting fired. They're not a competitor. They literally have cut half their offensive line. They've literally let half their defense go. They're going by the wayside. So I think they have to trade, and then they're going to have to trade again in this draft, and it's going to have to be Derrick Henry leaving the building to literally maybe salvage anything for this team. They were in my 3-team conversation of trading up. A team that I think has been lurking in the shadows a little bit. I actually have 2 teams because I couldn't pick. A team that just got a new face of their franchise in an owner yesterday. New ownership in Washington. So is the Sam Howell era over? They did bring in Jacoby Brissett. You got the 2 worst week 1 starters in the NFL that I've heard, next to possibly Malik Willis starting. So I'm going to say the Commanders have a nice little move up here. I don't know who they're taking. They've been Will Levis front runners since the middle of October. But if CJ Stroud's there, Bryce Young's there, whoever doesn't get picked at 3, they could definitely jump the board. This is a tough pick for me to say. because I really hate this team, and I really hate the fact that I know they would trade up because they just burn draft capital. The Los Angeles Rams have currently no quarterback. They have not re-signed John Wolford. Matthew Stafford is possibly not having a shoulder at all anymore. We don't even know if he has an arm anymore. He might just have a bionic arm for next season. So I think they've seen what's happened. They're without quite literally every key part of their team. I'm currently reading something somewhere where it says they need a running back, wide receiver, offensive line, edge, defensive tackle, linebacker, and corner. So they need everything and anything. I think they will be the worst team in the NFC West next year. I would like that to be quoted here. I think they're a team to move up for a quarterback. If somehow CJ Stroud is like hanging around, and I feel like there might be some desperation to like keep Sean McVay in the building. So like saying, hey, Sean, we're going to move up and go get a quarterback is like the right time now because they have a quarterback for the future and something they can design their offense around and hopefully keep McVay in the building. But Commanders and Rams, I'm also a fan of the Titans with Dallas, but I think it's the opposite. I think the Titans are trying to hemorrhage what they have going and try and at least keep themselves in the running for this. The Colts are a great option to move up to 3, but moving one pick literally means nothing. You're probably trading this year's first rounder, next year's first rounder for it. And it doesn't matter anyways. Rishi, the Lions have been talked about as a possible moving threat to go get Tyree Wilson, who they just love right now. They just love him.
So I think for number 3, the Lions could potentially trade up if they fall in love with one of 2 of Will Anderson or Tyree Wilson. I think if they really like both, they might hold off to see if one of them falls to them. But I think there's a strong possibility that if they fall in love with one of those 2 D linemen, they'd trade up. But I also do think if CJ Stroud falls to number 3, the Colts have every reason to trade up to number 3. I think the Falcons even have some reason to trade up to number 3. You could even make an argument for the Seahawks to trade up to number 3 if CJ Stroud falls.
Seahawks won't move up. I don't think they will.
I think you're probably right. I'd say the more likely are probably the Colts or the Falcons, but I don't know if either of them are going to pull that trigger if CJ Stroud falls.
I don't think the Falcons will pull the trigger. I feel like the Falcons have been pretty like we're with Ritter. And I think it's a fair evaluation. I might have something to say about the Falcons in the later part of this segment. I think you're looking at it and all 3, I think you have to have it. It's a desperate quarterback team. No team is moving up to 3 unless somehow it goes pick 1 and 2. It goes CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, and then Will Anderson's on the board. So then a team who needs an edge could kind of move up, but I think it'll end up being a quarterback that everyone jumps up for. On to something we talked about in the group chat this week was signing OBJ, the right decision for the desperate no wide receiver team, desolate island of the Baltimore Ravens wide receiver room.
I mean, I guess they just need somebody. Like they need somebody to help out that wide receiver room. I know they paid a lot, but it is just 1 year. It's just for this season, and then they can move on from Odell if they want to, if it doesn't work out. They need something there. I mean, they have so many injury issues, and that's the one thing I'm worried about. They signed a guy coming off of 2 ACL tears for the most injured team, and from the players, the worst conditioning staff in the entire league as well. When the players voted them the worst conditioning staff in the entire league. They're always the most injured team. They're always near the top in injuries. And then they sign Odell. I think it's a huge risk, but they got to get somebody. I mean, they signed the corpse of Nelson Aguilar or something? Like, I know they have Rashad Bateman, but, he got hurt last year. I don't know if I trust the health anymore. It's just their running back room is always, we don't know who's healthy again. Like their offensive weapons, it's It's Mark Andrews or nothing. That's it. That's their only consistent guy they have when it comes to weapons. So they need something. I think it's okay. It's fine. It's decent.
Dallas AFC North resident fan here.
If it's their best bet to try to get Lamar back, I mean, okay. But other than that, I don't see too much of a benefit from it. I mean, he's not going to – there's no way you're going to – I mean, you pay him a lot, but there's no way he can be on the field as a wide receiver one every play. Not at this stage of his career. I don't think he can. I don't know. The Ravens always seem reluctant to go out and just draft or get a top-notch guy at their wide receiver spot for some apparent reason. I don't know. I know they love to run the football, but you got to have a guy that can just win one-on-one, and they don't have that ever besides their Mark Andrews. I mean, if they could get a receiver to pair with Mark Andrews, they could be the offense could spread out more and be a little bit more dangerous, but I don't know. I mean, we'll see. You know what? Obviously, as a Bengals fan, I don't like the Ravens. I don't want them to do well, but I think OBJ will have an okay year.
That's a really good point, Dallas, because I was thinking, I don't know why they did not wait on Hopkins. I didn't know. I don't. That's the one thing that I don't get. Why did they not wait to see if Hopkins gets cut? And nobody's trading for Hopkins, and he doesn't want to be there. There's a pretty good chance that they cut him if he doesn't want to be there. If they can't trade him, they're just going to cut their losses.
They will not eat that cap. I would not eat that cap if I was a GM. I would keep him on the team if he doesn't play a single minute until I can find a trade.
I know it's a huge cap hit for them, but like for the Ravens, Lamar Jackson going to play on the tag. How much money does DeAndre Hopkins make per season?
His AAV is ridiculous. I think it's like somewhere in the ballpark.
I don't know if they could have made it work, but if they could find a way to make it work, you do that every day over anybody.
Okay.
I thought his contract wasn't that bad.
No, it's bad. He has 36.36 million. That's 19 million in 2023 with a base salary of 14 million. The total cap hit is 30.75 with 22.6 in dead cap if they cut him. So they will not cut him for 22.6 million in dead cap.
Would that last for multiple seasons or just
2 seasons? That 36.36 is no, it technically counts for 3 seasons because your dead cap rolls over a year after you've left the team. If you're not traded. So if they cut him or like if he retires, then they're eating his dead cap, which he is like 33. So like that's pretty close to the number where you're like, I don't know if we keep him in the building anymore. Like, he's great, but I don't know. I don't see the Cardinals selling out on giving up a wide receiver here with a team that is so desolate for talent as well. So yeah, I don't really think it's a move here. My point is, yes, I think simply the front office is on their knees begging for Lamar to come back, and this is literally the only way they could get him to come back is if they caved into at least one of his demands, aka getting him a wide receiver that has production numbers and isn't some like random third rounder that is just a speed guy that provides like a couple deep threats occasionally. I know that's what Odell was in the start of his career, but I mean, yeah, it's a good move for them. You spent some money. You addressed a need, I guess. You didn't really address it the best way you could have addressed it, but hey, you tried. We'll give you a pat on the back for that. You brought a star onto the team, so that's always good. That's always helpful. But I'm indifferent to it now. At the beginning, I was like, this is stupid and this is a lot of money, but now I see what they're doing. So I think they just need Lamar on the team, and this was the only way they could say, hey, Lamar, we're committing to you, so can you commit to us?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously it's a lot more money than anyone would want to have paid Odell Beckham Jr. at this point in his career, but at the same time, if it's either this or Lamar sits out and you have no other receivers on the roster, or you don't add any other receivers. And yeah, like I'd rather be in this situation. Also to mention the fact, to like address some of those wide receiver one concerns, I feel like having someone like a Mark Andrews is kind of like having a number one option and having Odell be the number two option. I think there's a world where that could work out.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I get it. He's not wide receiver one. His body definitely can't have him play wide receiver one anymore. So, you know, at the end of the day, oh well for that. But I think, you know, if you're looking at it, you got Odell Beckham Jr. in the building, so that's fantastic. But back to kind of the draft. I know I just kind of wanted to skip around and talk about that happening because it was big and a lot of people had a lot to say about it. A player who has been, I'm actually going to leave this one up to you. Will Levis and Anthony Richardson have quite literally been the third or fourth dog in the race of quarterbacks this year. So give me your best fit for Will Levis or Anthony Richardson. I want you guys to pick. I know a lot of people have a lot to say about Levis and Richardson, but just give me a team that you think should take him, could use him, could benefit from it, or he could benefit, the player could benefit from it. I just kind of want to hear your opinions here.
Is it crazy to say what if Will Levis like fell to the Patriots in like the second round or something?
Did you give me 1
Second
second because I have last week's mock draft somewhere and I need to find it because Dallas and I definitely had Will Levis taking an absolute tank.
Just because I don't think they're going to take him at 14. Like at 14, the odds the Patriots go quarterback is pretty low, but I don't think that's a terrible spot to be in because it's like you'll have I think there and Houston are like two cities where a young quarterback could come in and potentially like sit behind a guy for a year or potentially compete for the starting job or whatever. Like, I don't know. I think not a terrible spot for Will Levis. Anthony Richardson, even somewhere like Seattle, like if you could sit behind Geno for a little bit, not a terrible place to end up, but I'm sure he would rather go somewhere where he'd play earlier. So I don't know. Curious to hear what you guys say.
Okay, I'm currently pulling up our PFF mock draft because I don't know how many of you all watched the show last week, and this is exactly.
We had Levis to the Buccaneers, I believe.
That's what I had.
That's why I think Buccaneers make a lot of sense for at least a quarterback to come in. Obviously, they signed Baker, and I hope Baker has a rejuvenized career there and plays very well there. But having another option, I think would be smart for Tampa Bay because what if Baker plays like he did, later part of Cleveland? You're not going to have him starting for very long because that's just bad football. So you have to have another guy behind that can actually play a little bit. So I think that's probably a good spot for Levis. For Richardson, Rishi said Seattle. I think that makes a good sense to sit behind Geno. As much as he needs to play right away, I don't think he'll be good right away. So a best fit is probably sitting behind somebody. So I don't know.
Hey, Rishi, can you recap who you said for Levis?
I said a city like New England or Houston, but like the odds that he gets drafted to either of those teams pretty low. Maybe you can throw Minnesota in that mix.
Maybe. And then who'd you have for Richardson? You said Seattle, right?
Yeah, I think that was the only team. I mean, for your sake, maybe I'll say the Colts. But yeah, I said Seattle.
Adam, who do you have Will Levis and Anthony Richardson going to? Because I guess why not talk about both?
Well, I mean, when it comes to the best fit, I think both of them would be a good fit in Indianapolis because of our head coach and his track record with young QBs. I think both QBs would be very happy to go to Indianapolis. I think that's a good fit for either of them because of how open the Colts are to any type of QB and how They've been talking about, we just want a guy and we'll figure out how to play with whatever QB skills that we get. So I think that's a good option for either player. But I don't see, if one of them drops really low, I could definitely see Seattle actually going Will Levis if Will Levis really drops down to 20. I think if Will Levis gets to Tennessee at 11, I think Tennessee will probably pull the trigger. I don't think he gets past the Titans pick because of how unsure Malik Willis looked really bad in the short amount of time we saw him. You can't trust Tannehill. Tannehill's in the last year of his deal. I don't think Will Levis will go past Tennessee, but if he does, I don't think he gets past Tampa Bay either. Seattle should not take him 5. Should not take Richardson or Levis at 5. They should get one of those premier edge players for their team. They really need it. And that would be the best pick no matter what for them. I wouldn't mind Atlanta for one of those 2 QBs, actually. If it happens there, I wouldn't mind Atlanta either, but I think the Colts are the best destination for either of them. But I feel like Will Levis probably will fall down to Tennessee at 11. I think Tennessee will suck it up and take the pick there.
Yeah, I agree. I think Tennessee is actually the best place for Will Levis. If you look at him, he is quite literally Ryan Tannehill reincarnated. Big, strong arm. Has some concerns about movement issues, played in very pro style offenses in college, has a lot of success out of like bootleg action and stuff like that. Pretty big physical guy. Like there's definitely questions about touch and power and stuff like that. So I think Tennessee is the best option. I would also say I could give Washington some props here. Washington's looking for another project along with Sam Howell. I think they realize that Sam Howell might be a bite the dust moment. Anthony Richardson, I actually have an interesting outtake on. I think Carolina is the best place for him. And I know a lot of people have said that Carolina needs to take one of these premier players. I think there's a lot of physical intangibles that are there with Anthony Richardson: height, weight, size, speed, basically everything physical. And then you do have to kind of refine him around the edges on the fact that he needs to learn how to pass better, needs to learn how to he was a very single read offensive guy in college. So, he doesn't have to make progressive reads and throw the ball into tight windows. He didn't really do it all that often. So I think Carolina, but I'd also put Indy in there. I think Indy has to realize that if you're looking at this is exactly what we said with Jalen Hurts about 3 years ago. He's very good, a lot of arm talent, a lot of arm strength. But there's a lot of questions about, is he gonna survive in a system? Is he gonna play pro style offense? Is he gonna be good? I think you just have to take the swing. I don't think Will Levis is what the Colts need. I think Will Levis is quite literally the worst out of the 4 quarterbacks. I know I'm a Kentucky fan, and I will say it. I think I've watched a lot of film in the past few weeks about it. Will Levis is fantastic. Whoever takes him will be able to mold their team to it. But I think it has to be a team past the top 10. I don't think he's a top 4 quarterback in anyone's eyes.
I think my favorite timeline, NFL draft timeline, is Anthony Richardson #1 overall, even though I know it's not going to happen. That would be my favorite draft.
I think that could quite literally shake the entire draft, because then I think the Texans could trade. 3, you could trade. The Colts might say, hey, we are completely selling here. We don't have like any guys on the board. We're out. We're going to move out of 4. I will say though, I think there's a lot of people that have said, well, there's a lot of teams that could trade up. I think there's also a lot of teams that are going to trade back this year. So I think it's going to be very touch and go. I think you're looking at probably the 10 worst teams in the NFL to be teams to trade up. But everyone outside of that, unless they really like a guy or they really think, hey, this is what we need, it's not it. So I think trades are going to have to be pretty interesting. Like they're going to have to be pretty wild. Some crazy stuff will have to happen.
I do got
but
one trade that I wanted to mention before we moved on. That it's going to be a trade into the first round with the Eagles at the 31st pick. The Washington Commanders trade up to take Hendon Hooker, 31. They trade their second round pick, move up because the Eagles have number 10, and they take that QB.
I think was one of last week's hot takes something about Hendon Hooker falling.
yes, I said Hendon Hooker would fall.
So we've got some competing hot takes right now.
I love Hendon Hooker, and don't get me wrong. I just do not think anybody should be moving into the first round for him. The first round is blasphemous for him. Blasphemous.
Yeah, but it's
Blasphemous.
Washington. It's
Is
Washington.
the injury factor?
Of course they would do it.
Does the injury factor into your decision to not take him in the first round, or it's him as a prospect?
It's his age. He's older. He's on that older scale of quarterbacks at 23 or 24. I don't remember. Also, he did not have the production numbers. Like, great. He had a fantastic season in the highest tempo offense in all of the SEC, in all of the nation. They played the fastest game in football last year. They did not take breaks. They did not stop. And you can say, well, he had he had Tillman, he had Cedric Tillman, he had Jalen Hyatt. He had a lot of targets to use and a really good defense to back him up. And in some of those big games, he crumpled under the pressure. So I just think it is aggressive to go into the first round and go get him. I'm not saying that I think at pick 2 or 3 of the second round, he's not off the board. I think it is aggressive to take him in the first round when you look at some of these other guys that are going at the top of this board.
I do agree that it is a little out there. I don't expect them to do it, but I really wouldn't be surprised if Washington just get aggressive under new ownership and go get a starting QB. I don't think he has to necessarily start. That's the thing. I think if he goes to Washington, he doesn't have to play a game this season. I don't think he has to.
Have you heard of that quarterback room? I named it Sam Howell and Jacoby Brissett.
I know, but Jacoby's okay. I mean, Washington, I think they know they're not going to go to the playoffs this year. Even though the NFC is so bad, they're going to finish, like, that division is too hard for them to get out. They're not being the Eagles or Cowboys to get up there. They're just not going to be up there. I think they know that. They're going to get new ownership. And I feel like I just feel like Hendon Hooker has the Commanders all over him. I don't know why. I think it might just
literally because he's Sam Howell from
mind.
last year. He is quite literally Sam Howell. He's
better than Sam Howell.
He is better than Sam Howell, but he's literally the exact same build. A guy who we didn't hear of from the first few years in college. Not really great. Refined around the edges. Blah blah blah. ACC quarterback. Makes a step in his last year of college, plays out of his mind, goes crazy, has a lot of arm strength, can throw the ball far, can do all this, can do all that, can do all this, can do all that. And then you know what happens? You end up like Malik Willis, or you end up like Sam Howell, or you end up at like Matt Corral, and you don't get drafted. Or you get drafted way later than you're supposed to.
Well, I see he has good weapons there. I like the weapons of Washington. I like the skill players that they have there. But he won't start immediately. He just won't start immediately. I think he'll start when Washington's season is pretty much, they're just like, they're 12 games in, they're not, and then they're going to start playing him just to see what they have. I think they could 100% do that. And I feel like they would move into the draft potentially to go see if they have somebody. Like, they have pick 47 in the second round.
Pick 47 is exactly where I would pick him. Pick 47 is perfect for him.
But I feel like he's going to get picked. I feel like he's going to get taken by like the Raiders or the Falcons, who have a pick earlier at like 7th and 8th in the second round. And the Titans have the pick before them. The Patriots have the pick before. And the Packers have the pick before. There's too many teams who could take a shot at Hendon Hooker in the second round before them. And I think they're going to surprise everyone and jump early to go and get them and bet to see what they have, because I think they're going to be one of the worst teams and they're going to have a top pick. And if he doesn't look good, I don't think it would matter that much, because I think they're going to have a top 5 pick. I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league because they're not going to have that quarterback play in probably the toughest division in the NFC. So I don't think it matters that much to them and I don't think you'd have to give up very much.
Well, you kind of just moved into my point of the biggest riser in the NFL draft. You just said Hendon Hooker will move into the first round as he's currently projected as the 71st out of 100 prospects that I'm seeing on my list.
Where's that list from?
I don't say where I get my NFL stuff from.
Is it your personal list?
No, it is not a personal list, but it is from somebody who I have been constantly listening to this year.
Okay. Can I give my biggest riser?
Yes.
Nolan Smith, beast mode. And I think he has been rising up draft boards because I remember like the first week we were talking about NFL draft. Like I remember he was mocked late first. And I was like, I don't know. I remember this dude being a beast in college. And then now I see him mid first round. So I don't know. I think me saying he's the biggest riser might be kind of a late
12th on this list right now out of the top 85 prospects is what this guy ranked.
So then maybe I'm a little bit late on this take. But
no,
whatever.
I think there's a lot of question, a lot of variability on where he goes because he's not big enough to like be like a edge producer. Like he's not a big, powerful guy, but I think he has a lot of finesse and a high motor, and he's got a lot of quickness in the short area. And he was a crazy combine tester. So, I mean, crazy combine tests are always going to shoot you up the board.
Bulldog. You forgot about that's the most important part. It's like drafting a South Carolina women's basketball player this year. It's drafting a Georgia defensive player.
Interesting. All right, Dallas, who do you have here?
Well, Rishi, I was with you with my hot take last week. I said Keely Ringo slides back up in the first round. That's another Georgia defensive player. So him and also Zay Flowers has been climbing up the boards according to multiple people as well. And they could say he could be the first wide receiver off the board, which is crazy.
He should be.
He should not be. He should not be the wide receiver. He should not be the wide receiver one off the board. Jackson Smith is the wide receiver one off this board. I mean,
even Quentin Johnson, the fact that like someone could jump him is pretty crazy.
It's crazy to me that Zay Flowers has jumped this high off the board. So Keely Ringo will be mine because I like the hype about Zay Flowers moving up like that high to be that, but that would be a interesting choice to say the least. Not saying he won't be good, but he's not Quentin Johnson or Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'm sorry.
You guys are haters. Well, gentlemen, I'm going completely off the board. So in the most desolate of draft classes we have seen in the most recent years, in linebacker, there's a gentleman out of Arkansas that nobody has been listening to this year. His name is Drew Sanders. With a lot of teams that do need linebackers this year, I think Drew Sanders is quite literally one of the best linebackers we will see in the next 3 years in the NFL draft. I'm saying it. Tall, rangy defender with a versatile skill set to play a stack linebacker and also a situational pass rusher at 6'4", 235 pounds. He was a top-ranked athlete coming out of high school, number 22 in his recruiting class. He tallied 39 pressures last year in PFF, fourth among off-ball linebackers. He has a lot of talent, has solid vision and awareness in the second level, also good backfield tracking. Does know how to dislodge the ball from the ball carrier. Frequently will get lined up in the A gap while also dropping into coverage. He does chop his feet. He will overrun a play occasionally on the backside. So that's a little bit of current problem, but he is an ascending pass rusher with a athletic versatility to play all three downs. And he brings an untapped pass rushing side. He only did play off-ball linebacker for 1 year though in college, which is kind of concerning. But I think he is a team that you're looking early second round. A team needs a new linebacker. A lot of teams, I think, are in a desperate spot for linebackers. Either their linebackers are aging or they've kind of gotten to that point where they're not producing the same numbers they were producing as a young player. So they need someone. So I'm saying Drew Sanders is a guy. I'm giving him the Alex stamp of approval for someone to watch for in the second round. So off of that, this is something I've heard about. Favorite team to get better in the NFL draft. So this is a team that you think could use their draft capital to a pretty smart and pretty advantageous role to next season, or possibly even down the line in the next few years. As we know, a lot of teams have kicked it off by having really good drafts and then 2 or 3 years later turning into great teams. So who is everyone's favorite team to get better in the NFL draft?
Do I have to pick like a non-Lions team?
Well, Rishi, I was going to pick the Detroit Lions.
Let's go. Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
I think in free agency, you back up the corner position in the secondary. You get help there. The offense was tremendous last year. You really don't have to worry about it too much. Maybe another piece like tight end or something, but you can get that in the later rounds. I think pretty easy. In the first round, I think you go front seven and defensive line to help bolster up with Aiden Hutchinson. Obviously, like you said, if they can get Will Anderson or Tyree Wilson, that'd be amazing as well. And then later on in the first round, I don't know where they got pick 18 to help the interior. They got like Brian Bresee from Clemson. They got a few of these other guys on the defensive interior that you can pick there. So they take 2 guys on the front 7 in the first round. I think this team is going to be much improved on defense, and even just moving up halfway into the middle of the pack on defense is going to help the Lions make the playoffs, because their defense was dead last year? Dead last?
Yes, they gave up the most yards and most points in the NFL.
If you watch the games, though, they were good. Like, they just had really bad moments.
They just got murdered. They just got murdered at occasional times. I mean, that was all.
That's why if they just move up half, that's going to make them improve so much. And I can't wait to watch the Detroit Lions this year.
Dude, the only problem surrounding the Lions is that now everyone likes them too much. It's like now the only thing that can happen is like disappointment, but like still, this is the most anticipation ever coming into a Lions season. And then you tack on number 6, you tack on number 18. They've got I didn't memorize all the picks, but they've got a lot of picks coming in. This front office is drafted really well.
6, 18, 48, 55, and 81.
So those are all potentially players who are going to be like getting a lot of snaps this year. So yeah, like obviously that's very exciting. But if I have to pick an non-Lions team, I think I hope I get this division name right. The NFC South. This is Tampa, Atlanta, New Orleans. Yeah. Okay. Carolina. Okay. So for this draft, I think this draft decides the winner of that division, because right now, what do you say? Maybe the Saints are the number 1 team coming out of there just because of Derek Carr or something. I don't know. Who would you guys say? I guess real quick.
My pick is the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons have gotten sizably better in the offseason, addressed all of their problems and all their like pinpoints that they were missing last year. Got a corner, fixed their offensive line, re-signed a bunch of players. Now it's time to grab a second weapon for the offense. You already have a young quarterback. You have a high-producing you should have a high-producing tight end who didn't really do much in Kyle Pitts. You have Drake London, but now is where you add another threat. This is exactly where I'm saying you're looking at Jackson Smith and Jigba. Possibly if one of those wide receivers slides late into the round, you maybe don't go Jackson Smith and Jigba at 8. You grab either an edge rusher or you grab a cornerback, and then you move your way down later. But they have pick 8, 44, and 75. I think with all 3 of those picks, they could pick really good players that either improve pass catching or that improves their defensive line / whole of defense.
Adam, you said the Panthers?
Yeah, I got the Panthers. Their wide receiver room might be a little bit short, but I think they're going to get C.J. Stroud. I think C.J. Stroud is ready to go and start right now and be good. I went to the combine. I watched him. Perfect. Every throw, perfect, nonchalant without even trying. Like, he just looks like he is ready to start and be good right now. So and their defense is good. I really, really like the Panthers' defense. They have a run game that takes some of the pressure off their young QB. It's a weak division. I give them the best shot.
Dallas?
This division is so up for grabs, but I really think if the Panthers do draft Stroud, they are there. I do. I think the weapons are honestly actually better than we think there. I mean, I know you got an old Thielen. He can still get it done in the slot a little bit. Signing Hayden Hurst is a solid tight end. Produced very well for the Bengals last year. Another guy, underrated guy, is Terrace Marshall Jr. You saw what he could do at the end of last season with PJ Walker as his quarterback. Produced pretty solid towards the end of the season. I think he has a great year, close maybe like 800 yards, something like that. I think he can get close to 1,000. He's a good receiver. People don't understand that. Maybe draft one more in the draft. I mean, I think they can be right there. Miles Sanders as your running back now in free agency. So I think Carolina does have the pieces. But yeah, it's tough. This division is going to be, I think it's going to be very close.
So, I think the Carolina Panthers, I'm going to disagree here. I think the Carolina Panthers are still far away from being better than other teams. Their defense is quite literally like their front side, like front seven players, just not great. Brian Burns, fantastic, amazing, generational talent. Your safeties and your corners, fantastic. You've improved it, but your defensive line, horrific. Your outside off-ball linebackers, horrific. You re-signed Shy Tuttle, fantastic, great, whatever. You do not have a nose tackle. You do not have defensive ends. You have 2 defensive ends on the roster right now. So they get CJ Stroud, but I think this is going to be a division this year where you're looking at, hey, who's going to stop this team on defense? Because I think every team will have a Goliath offense, but who's going to be good on defense to cover up the blemishes of their offense and get the ball back when they need to?
Well, so first of all, you were calling us a hater before. You're hating right now. But
I'm calling a hater move because I don't think their defense is good. I think that the defense you saw.
I don't think it matters. I don't think it necessarily matters that much in this division because of how bad the teams they're going to play 6 times are. Like Tampa Bay is just going to screw themselves over before any defense does. Like, let's be honest with that one there. I don't think they necessarily need the best defense in the world to win this division. I think if they're
a below league average defense, though, that is my problem. It is a below league average. You just need to have like the 16th best defense in the league. And if you're telling me this front seven is the best,
they do have a 2nd round pick this year, and it's a very deep draft on the defensive line. I think they could easily get someone serviceable to put next to a Brian Burns. When you have somebody that good on your defensive line, you just need somebody else who is decent, and it opens it up for them to become a better player. Like, if you put any player in the league on the defensive line with Aaron Donald, they're going to be better because so much attention has to go to Aaron Donald. So if they do draft well and they can get a good defensive line player in a very deep defensive, especially defensive line, defensive edge draft, they definitely have the potential to really improve that.
You could argue they improved as much as anybody in the division in the offseason. I know Atlanta put some pieces on the defensive side of the ball, like Jesse Bates, but their offensive struggles with Ritter. I mean, you don't know how good Ritter's going to be. You got to give him a chance. But who finished 2nd place in this division last year with PJ Walker as your quarterback? That's the Carolina Panthers, and they got better. That's all you should see. I know 3 teams finished 7-10, but their division record was 4-2. I mean, they beat these guys in the division. They know how to play these guys in the division. I think Carolina can easily win this division.
So here's my problem with Carolina. They shouldn't have fired Steve Wilkes. They or whatever, let him go, whatever that's called when you don't keep an interim head coach. They should have kept him. Frank Wright's a good coach. He'll probably do well, but I do think, like for this segment, they're my team outside of the Lions that I most think will get better because of the draft. And I think they probably put themselves in a position to win the division. Although you guys are saying CJ Stroud right now, the streets are saying it's Bryce Young.
It's Bryce Young. It is Bryce Young all day, every day.
But here's the thing. That's the person you would put a smokescreen out for because you know he's the consensus number one guy. So if you like an Anthony Richardson or if you like because they've been saying this whole time, oh, we'd be fine with trading back down. So if you like one of those other guys, you would put out the rumor, we like Bryce Young and we're going to take Bryce Young.
But my point is I don't think this isn't the GM and the coach making the decision. This is the owner making the decision. David Tepper has been noted since day one they traded for the pick that he loves Bryce Young and wants Bryce Young in Carolina Blues from day one.
Something just came out today that says the Panthers are in the mix for Richardson at 1. Like something that came out from The Athletic today that Panthers are still considering Anthony Richardson for the first overall pick. They have not decided yet. They're still thinking about it. It's not a foregone conclusion.
You're sitting there on draft night with your owner, your boss right in front of you, and he loves someone so much to the point where your job is on the line. Are you gonna pick against him and say, well, I know this guy's great. I know this guy's fantastic. Just let me have this one swing and this one shot in the dark over the guy you really like.
I mean, if you're an NFL head coach, you have an ego and you think you can do that. I mean, we probably look at it like that, but if you're like, I'm an NFL head coach, trust me, I think this guy is going to be the guy. They're going to think that way. They're going to think I can make this work. That's how
Frank's track record does not elicit this amount.
Frank Reich did that with Carson Wentz. He thought he could make Carson Wentz work. If he thinks he can do that, this man has insane confidence. He can think he can do anything with any QB. Okay. He's like, I can make Carson Wentz good at Indiana. He has the confidence to go and say, this is my QB. This is who I want. I think I can do it. Like, that's what Frank Reich did. He's done it multiple times. Like, I know, like in Indiana, it was not Chris Ballard's decision to go and get Carson. He said himself, it wasn't his. It was Frank's. Frank wanted to go get him. And he put his job on the line for it.
And
sure,
that's
it
why
might have not worked out. It might have not worked out. But he has the confidence to do it. That's why I think he'll do it. I think he'll say, that's the guy that I want.
I don't think he's the shot caller. I think they've looked at him and said, hey, Frank, it is your first year. We're going to take your input and we are going to use it to whatever extent we need to use it. I think that this is inevitably going to be a pick by the owner or the GM trying to salvage whatever they have.
Either way, they have a really good opportunity to get a lot better in the draft.
I just think the Falcons have a better chance. I think they have an elevated chance to be better.
Yeah, the Falcons just signed Bud Dupree.
Yeah, Bud Dupree, Calais Campbell, David Onyemata. You still have Grady Jarrett in the building. I know the
Jesse
linebacker room is a little touch and go, but you do have a pretty solid secondary. You got Jesse Bates. You got an old Casey Hayward. You did pick up Jeff Okuda. You got AJ Terrell in the building. Mike Hughes is sitting behind in there. You have good players on your defense. Your offense is still maybe a question, but you boosted the offensive line. You paid some of those guys. You got Mac Hollins, who will end up being your slot receiver if you go draft a wide receiver too. You got Kyle Pitts and Jonnu Smith for basically nothing. And if all fails, you have Taylor Heineke sitting in the back door. I mean, the guy can come in. Me. Exactly. I love the Panthers. The Panthers hype is fantastic, but at the end of the day, you have to look at it and say they are drafting a brand new signal caller, someone who has never been in the building before. Variability is like here, and the Falcons are like kind of here.
Well, I'd say that's why Carolina, in this draft, has one of the biggest chances to really make a jump. Because you could definitely say that after this draft they could potentially win the division, even if you like the Falcons better. And it's before the draft, their starting quarterback right now is who?
The Panthers?
Yeah,
Andy Dalton.
So you're not going to win the division right now, but after the draft, you're in a position to.
I get that, and I agree. But I'm just saying, at the end of the day, if I am a betting man right now, and I'm looking before the draft and saying this team is going to get better, the Atlanta Falcons have to fill a lot less holes that have a lot less variability, in my opinion.
One argument I will put against this is the last thing I'll say. I would 100% pick Frank Reich over Arthur Smith when it comes to head coaching. I would 100% take Frank Reich.
That is extremely
over
hot.
Arthur Smith.
That is extremely hot.
Experience, years of experience plays a factor in that a little bit too.
Yeah, just because Frank Reich has had a while being a head coach, Arthur Smith does not. I know he was assistant coach for the Tennessee Titans, the offensive coordinator, I believe. And then once he left, the Titans' offense was trash. But once he arrived in Atlanta, Atlanta's offense was trash. So what's going on? Like it's a weird thing.
You had Marcus Mariota as a starting.
I know you had Marcus Mariota, but I don't even remember who's going to start for them. Who's starting for them?
You're going to have Desmond Ridder.
Desmond, is that any better?
That's not even a
Heineke's taking that job.
Yeah, I like Heineke as a quarterback. Actually, I don't think he's that. I don't think he's that bad. But
I think
if they're going to start Desmond Ritter at the beginning of the season,
they're going to
try. Hard to claw back.
They're going to try at least.
It's going to be hard to claw back the L's they're going to take early. If that's what they're going to do.
All right, I don't know. Whatever. We can argue about the NFL draft.
I haven't even gotten into my favorite team to get better.
I've
just been going on this. We've just been going on this thing the whole time. I didn't.
I assumed it was the Panthers based on your pure passion for the Panthers.
No, my team to get better is the Seahawks.
Oh yeah, that was.
I
felt that they were a little too much of a layup to take. That they had 2 picks between them and another team.
Yeah, I know they have 2 picks. They have 5 and they have 20, and then the second round they have 6, and they have 21. So they have 4 picks in the first 2 rounds. I think they're going to get and they have high picks. They have 5th in the first and 6th in the second. So I think they're going to get their defensive players and they're off. And I think they're going to they don't need weapons, I would say, on offense. So they're going to upgrade their offensive line and they're going to upgrade that defense, which
they're not upgrading their offensive line. They will not
with 4 picks.
With 4 picks, they don't need to touch their offensive line. You had 2 rookie tackles last year play the greatest seasons they'd ever played as 2 rookie tackles.
You still need guys in the middle. That
you can always guys in the middle.
You can always upgrade the offensive line.
Well, my point is they're not making.
You always want to do that when you have Geno Smith.
Those are going
you want to protect him as much as possible.
Day 2 round 4 guys this year. Unless
you don't want Geno Smith to go down. That's why I think they'll take a second. I think they'll do a second. I think they'll grab a corner with their second. I think they'll grab one of the edge players. And I think they'll grab an offensive lineman with their 6th in the second round. Because if Geno Smith goes down, that's playoff chances. They don't have anybody else. They have to make sure they can protect him as much as possible. I don't think it's ever a bad idea in a second round pick to go offensive line. Trust me. I'm just Colts fans. I've seen how bad it can get. I have PTSD from Andrew Luck. Offensive line is never a bad pick in the later rounds if you can get bodies in there, especially if you might be able to grab at least somebody who can be a starter for a long time. You definitely just want to do it. It's better to have a good offensive line than not. And Seattle, I like the 4 picks. I like what they can do. They have a lot of options of trading. They can move around, go down, go up. They're open. I think they have plenty of capital. They can go get guys they want if they want to. I like their position.
My point was just that there's literally 3 guards right now that I see that are in the top 85. So you have to pray that someone else doesn't take them over you. None of them have truly jumped off the page yet on anybody's metric system. As plug and play guys. Most of them are guys that will start next year.
Well, guards usually, when you look at the offensive line, it's going to be center or tackle in the first round most of the time. I mean, most of the time that's going to be what it is. I mean, if you can take one and he could actually play guard, it'd be all right. But I don't see a problem with taking a guard in the second round. I mean, these guys are 4th round guards. I mean, he's easily worth a second round pick if he's solid. I mean, he could probably just I mean, that's not a horrible pick there. I think Adam hit it right on. If I was Seattle, I think if you keep the 4 picks, you go the line, corner, defensive line, offensive line, corner, and then with that 4th pick, you can go anywhere you want, really. I mean, even Tyler Lockett's getting up there in age. If you want to draft another young receiver,
there's not a receiver here. Past round 3, there's not a receiver. You're throwing at a dartboard.
I mean,
basically.
Joshua Downs would be a great pick for them.
Yeah, there's plenty.
He's
of
a player that's
there.
really high. He's a player that's really high on my board, Joshua Downs.
Yeah, but he's really high on everyone else's board because it's basically like 7 wide receivers, and then there's like a very clear like drop off in like level of talent and level.
True,
of
but I think the
production.
receivers are going to fall late. I feel like a lot of teams are going to go defense early.
I don't know. I think there's going to be a mad scramble in the middle of the first round. And it happened last year where Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave went like back to back, basically. And there's going to be that mad scramble where all those guys go away. And then the second round, there'll be another mad scramble in the middle of the round and go grab all those guys that like Tank Dell and Joshua Downs. So, I mean, if it's to your point, are you putting a pass catcher in that situation over taking an offensive lineman?
Well, I think that they would go defense edge, and then they would go corner, and then their 3rd pick, they would go tackle. And then I think exactly what Dallas said, with the 4th, you can do anything that you want with it. Go get a punter. Like, I don't know. Like, you can do whatever you want with that.
That's Los Angeles Rams. That's too much Los Angeles Rams. We're done talking about that. When you say punter in the 4th round. Punter in the 4th round. I did swipe the MLB guys. It's just going a little long. So let's do this week's hot takes. I have the Thunder winning 3 games against the Nuggets. I don't know why. It'd be really bad if they lose tonight.
Trying to figure out what's going to be done by next week.
I have one right now and one later.
Who's the projected quarterback going first next week in Vegas?
I guess I'll go with the Timberwolves win. That's my hot take. Tonight and make playoffs. And for a long one, I'm going to go with it. Hendon Hooker goes in the first round because the team trades up. They trade up for Hendon Hooker. Whether it's the Commanders, maybe not. I mean, the Commanders did meet with him recently, and they're doing it again. They're doing another meeting with Hendon Hooker in this month. So, I mean, just looking, it's not off the cards. I saw a bunch of articles about it. It's not out of the question that he could be picked in the first round.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I'll take I'll do a parlay of the Thunder winning tonight, and on Saturday night I'll take Arnold Allen to win against Max Holloway. Or actually, you know what? Scratch all of that. We're going straight up UFC parlay. Brandon Royval, I can text you these names, Alex, to write them down. But Brandon Royval, Chris Gutierrez, Billy Quarantillo, and Arnold Allen. Four-person UFC parlay. Fights are on a little bit earlier in the evening. I think they're free. They might be on ESPN. Tune in. Watch me hit this parlay.
What was the last guy? Arnold something?
Arnold Allen. I'll type the names in chat.
Dallas, I will have to wrap back. I forgot I need to put my golf bets down per usual.
Hot take this week is tough. I don't even know where to go. So I'll just toss out that this week in the MLB, there will be a no-hitter thrown this week in the MLB.
Dude, it almost happened last night with the Twins game. Holy crap. But back to golf, because I continue to I'm so mad I did not take John Rahm. I was dead. I was literally so close to possibly saying on going into the final day, I was like, in the morning, I woke up to watch the Masters and I was like, do I go with this here? I was feeling that there was a mental breakdown on around the corner somewhere for Brooksy or for Brooksy. So but this week I'm gonna go a tough thing that we don't see happen very often. I'm gonna go John Rahm back to back on the tournament. So I'm gonna go John Rahm, Adam Scott, who played really good last week, and a man named Victor Hovland as well. He's let me down 2 or 3 tournaments in a row now. So hopefully he can pull one out. But we will be back next week, probably with, I don't know, NFL mock draft might have to happen a second time, guys. Just for the pure fun of it, because we need a full show mock draft where we can argue with each other about positional value. But it's been great to have everyone on, and I will see you